Love it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beacons webinars. Thank you all so much for being here. We are super excited to have a great event for you guys today. A couple of quick housekeeping items. Say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. And let me know if you can hear me, because last time we had a little bit of an issue and it seemed like people couldn't really hear me. So let me know in the chat. Oh, great. Everybody can hear us. We love it. We love being off to a great start. So over on the right-hand side of your screen, you have a chat, and you also see this Q&A box. Please, please, please ask your questions in the Q&A box. I know it's so easy and it's so tempting to ask those questions right in the chat, but the chat moves really quickly and it's very easy for those questions to get lost. So we really want to make sure that Kyle and Joey and Bonnie, who's going to be here in a little bit, get a chance to answer those questions for you. So please put them in the question box when you have them, and we will make sure that we get to them. Without further ado, I am going to head off camera for a little bit and just turn things over to our incredible speakers, Kyle and Joey, who are going to introduce themselves to you guys and tell you about College of Influence and their presentation today. So Kyle and Joey, take it away. I see them. I hope others see them.
Oh, hi, slides.
That's without the presenter view. Or wait.
Well,
Okay.
Now you just have to show. Perfect. Can everybody still see that?
There we go.
Stunning. Okay. Well, really quick, if you wanted to just see them really fast.
Let's make sure we're all looking at the same thing. Okay,
they're changing now for me.
For everyone who can see them now, this is what our cover slide looks like.
Wow, cover slide.
We were going through all the cool things we're about to talk about. That's what it looked like before. That's me, literally same shirt. That's embarrassing. Cool. That's me with Bonnie and some of our talent in Austin for South by.
Somebody sees a tree.
Well, don't know where that's coming from, but that's okay.
No tree.
So yeah, so what I was just saying, I was going through this slide. I was talking about how essential it is for us to meet with our talent wherever they are in the country and having FaceTime with the brands and partners that we're working with. Obviously, helps with booking future business. And then more about the other side of the business that I'm on. I write and direct and produce the content for our educational courses over on College of Influence. So I highly encourage all of you to head over to collegeofinfluence.com to check it out and subscribe after this session is over today. We've also taken COI into the B2B space where we produce digital literacy and content production courses for our partners like LTK and Nordstrom, just to name a couple. And then Kyle, I can pass it to you for a brief introduction.
Yeah, I'm Kyle. I am not Joey.
The other bald guy on camera.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you all for joining. I love doing educational forums like this. I started GMB, which is our talent management business, 9 years ago this year, so creeping up on 10 years in the game. I have been in talent management specifically for influencers for 10 years this year. So I'm very much a pioneer in this space. I always like to joke about my chin hair is turning gray because I've been bald for a while. But I started my business, the GMB side of things, working with my wife, which was amazing. And now we represent about 130-ish talent all across the United States. We've worked with every brand under the sun from, I like to say, from Chanel to Target and every type of brand in between. I've seen creators go from being, around 10,000 following on a platform to, well over 1 million, making, millions along the way. GMB has actually made, I think I was just calculating yesterday, so it's like I did just look at this, but about $70 million for our creators over the last 10 years, which is pretty amazing. Badge of honor. But I'm excited to share the stage. I will talk more about how College of Influence got started, which I founded in 2019, especially to teach the next gen, like some of you. But I'll flip it to Bonnie, one of our talent, who I love.
I'm actually not sure if Bonnie can chime in right now. Oh, yes, we can.
Bonnie's chiming.
Hi, guys. Hi, Kyle and Joey. My name is Bonnie Barton. I am based in Austin, Texas. I have been a content creator for over a decade now, which is crazy to think about. I got my start sharing fashion, but since I have changed my niche to home decor, DIY, lifestyle, and I primarily share on TikTok and Instagram. And I have been represented by GNB for over 4 years now. And it is like really positively impacted my business, and you guys are amazing. So that's a brief introduction. Thanks for guys.
Thank you. We'll see you again in a little bit. Cool. So if you're unfamiliar with College of Influence, we are a team of influencers, artists, talent managers, lawyers, accountants, and industry leaders who have all come together to provide experienced and aspiring creators with the best industry knowledge to help grow audiences and turn passions into profits. College of Influence currently offers courses and webinar recordings from all these incredible industry experts who can teach you everything from how to take better photos and videos, how to read a contract, master the world of creator commerce and affiliate marketing, to really better understand the language that agents and managers are using every day while they're out there booking campaigns. And do you want to talk about how College of Influence came to be?
I'd love to talk about that.
Take us back.
Yeah, so if we go back in time, 2019, the agency, or the firm, I should say, GNB, was really growing by leaps and bounds. It was right before 2019, of course, it was right before the pandemic. But we were almost doubling every year as a talent management company. What really started to happen with all of that action and momentum is people were finding out about having managers for content creators, or, like, hey, I want to have somebody represent me and introduce me to brands. So we started getting just tons, started like as a trickle, I would say 2 to 3 people a day that would reach out on our website. And then right before College of Influence got started, it was like 10, 15, 20 people a day, literally reaching out via the GNB website saying, hey, I want somebody to represent me. Can you represent me? Yada, yada, yada. The thing was, a lot of these creators who were reaching out to us were just starting out. So they would have 600 followers, 2,000 followers, 10,000 followers. And we had really started to manage and work with more mid-tier and macro level creators, so 100,000 size creators. But there were so many good creators that we were running into. We're like, we need a community. We need a way to stay in touch with these people. And I love education. Before I started GNB, I actually worked at a fashion company where I taught all of the associates across the United States principles of entrepreneurship, business, sales tactics, all these kinds of things. I just love doing webinars like this. And so I was like, okay, how do we marry what I love in terms of educating people and helping them grow their businesses with all of these incredible creators that are reaching out that have amazing stories, amazing content that are just not like the right size for direct management yet. And that literally led to the conversation of, let's start a College of Influence. I checked on GoDaddy. collegeofinfluence.com was literally like $10.99. So I was like, oop, buy it. And here we are today.
Here we are. All right, so now let's get into my top 5 tips for people who are interested in launching a career as a content creator. First things first, you need to figure out your niche in the content space. I think one of the biggest challenges that new creators face is narrowing down what lanes they want to stick to when they're getting started. I think it's really intimidating to feel like you have to box yourself into only one of your interests, because we're all so multi-layered. We all have plenty of things that we can see ourselves doing. But I'd recommend writing all of those interests and verticals that you could imagine yourself creating content around. Write them down. And out of those subjects, which ones excite you the most? Which ones could you see yourself devoting a lot more time towards without getting sick of it? And once you pick the one that stands out the most, start writing out some potential content ideas for that subject. If it flows freely, you'll know right away that you'll have a winner. But if you instantly have writer's block, maybe it's something else on that list. Next, and this might sound silly, but just start posting right away. Don't overthink it. The longer you wait to hit record, the longer you stay in your head, the longer you continue, as an aspiring creator instead of a content creator. I know so many people and even actors that fumble over their words the first few takes once they hit record, but you can't get to that good stuff until you go back, or you get back those first couple takes of bad video that you're not happy with. So the sooner you hit record, the sooner you can actually start. And don't get discouraged just for having a few bad takes. You have to get through those bad takes in order to get good ones. So don't get yourself discouraged about that. Number 3, I want you to build an editorial calendar for yourself. And I literally don't care if you use Google Calendar. It's free, super easy. You can leverage that to build out more of just like a visual representation of all your content ideas, and set time for yourself to write or outline concepts, set time to prep or set up equipment, props, whatever it is, and then set time to actually shoot, edit, and post and engage with your community online. That is really going to give you like a bird's eye view of what you're putting yourself up against, and it'll keep you from burning yourself out. And I think that kind of goes right into my next one. Yeah, number 3 goes right into number 4. I want you to make sure that while you're creating your editorial calendars, you need to make sure that the expectations that you're putting on yourself are super realistic, manageable, and consistent. The last thing you want to do is overwhelm yourself to the point that this isn't even fun for you anymore. That's the quickest way to burn yourself out and quit before you even really get started. And I think that this is one of the hardest things to juggle when you're first getting started out, because if you have a 9 to 5 or you're working crazy hours, like when do you even find time to be creative? Like, it's so important to hollow that time out for yourself, because if you have dreams of doing other things, you've got to set time on your calendar and say, like, this is what I'm doing for an hour a day, 2 hours a day, whether it's ideating content or just like figuring out your first content vertical. And like I said before, don't get discouraged about, picking one vertical that you can really see yourself getting passionate behind, because you can open doors to other things down the line, but like being consistent in one thing is how you can really break through right in the very beginning, and then the world is your oyster. And finally, number 5, I need you to engage in the online communities and corners of the internet that are important to you. I don't want you to post and then close your app. Once you post, go to accounts that inspire you, follow, interact with their content and people commenting on their content. Don't be a creep about it. But if someone says something that inspires you to join into a conversation or start a conversation, do it. The goal is to have your name show up in as many new people's notifications tab as possible. The more eyes that you can organically draw to your account, especially when you have new content that just went live, the better. Then once you spend some time engaging with your community and potential audience, respond to comments left on your own stuff. The more engagement that you can do, the more traffic you're potentially driving to those accounts. I'll also say be super careful how many new accounts you follow, because you don't want to get flagged and shut down for suspicious activity. So we definitely don't want that. And now I'm going to pass the mic over to Kyle to talk about the top 5 FAQs that our team receives from new creators.
I just want to comment real quick. Actually, if I can go back for a second, I want to comment and just say something, because I saw I was actually watching all of people in the chat box talk about where they're at with the size of accounts and everything. I guess it's partially an FAQ, but not one that I listed, and also just partially a response to what Joey was saying. One of the biggest things I've seen really deter people from continuing to like explore being a content creator is the idea of Joey's last bullet point here, engaging in the online community. And a lot of times what I hear is like, oh, I've been posting all this stuff, but I'm only getting 10 likes or, a couple comments, or I only, it's just even the size of your account where you're like, I have less than 1,000 followers. How am I going to get to 1,000? How am I going to get to 10,000 or 1,000,000, right? And it's one of the biggest things, it relates to another point that Joey had. It's like, as you start to post content, you really just need to get out there. Put it out there, because of course you're going to refine over and over, like you're going to find what you want to post about, but you can only do that by posting. The other thing that's going to teach you what to post about is the engagement from your community. So if you find that, oh, wow, you posted something and it really hit, and instead of 10 likes, you got 50, you got to post more of that kind of stuff, right? Or, all the comments seem to be really positive, or conversely, the engagement's really low. Only a couple people liked it. Nobody really commented. Maybe try something a little bit different. So in the act of getting out there and posting and then starting to engage in your community, it teaches you, it shows you what people are really going to respond to, so you can grow a community around the ideas that like you care about most, but also that other people are really interested in. And with that, going to the FAQs. So how often should I post? When I started posting content, and a lot of the OG creators that I know started posting content, I really think it's important, as Joey said, to have that editorial calendar and map it out for yourself. What can you really do? A lot of people would always ask me too, like, hey, should I be on TikTok, Instagram, have a blog, be on YouTube, be all across, like every platform? Like, don't try to be on every platform if you don't have time to do that. It's better to be on like one platform where you can give it quality attention, or 2 platforms where you can do something here and then syndicate it out to the second platform. But like, start with what you can manage. And I think that's very true to answer how often do I have to post. Start with what you can manage and then build on top of that. Because if you start, 5 days a week and you're not seeing the results you want, then you're going to get discouraged and you're going to burn out a lot faster. Maybe start 3 times a week, see what's working, see what's not, and then start to add in more things that you find that are working. So you really fill out your content calendar for like an everyday thing. When it comes to being a content creator, and especially one that's managed at some point, they are online every single day, and part of that is just realizing that another thing that comes up all the time is oversaturation. People are like, oh, it's already so saturated. There's not space for me. There's totally space for you. But if you don't show up, then, your potential audience or your audience, they're going to go find that way to get entertained or informed somewhere else. So you want to work up to the point, as a content creator where you're posting something meaningful every single day, and that can show up in a lot of different ways. Second thing I hear all the time is, how do I go viral? And I just wanted to put this one on here to underscore that virality doesn't really matter. It is something that everybody wants to it's the gold rush of social media. If I can make something go viral, then I'll hit it big. I'll do my funny dance and become a D'Amelio and have 50 million plus people on TikTok. That's one way to the goal, but in terms of what we really see every day and content creators we work with, it's all about how can I create quality content that's going to earn me and grow with me a community that I can engage with. People that actually care about what I'm saying, care about what I'm putting out there, and are responding to it. So virality, maybe it'll happen. It happens, I guess, when you create great stuff, right? But you shouldn't you shouldn't point yourself towards trying to go viral. You should always point yourself towards just creating something great that you love and you hope other people love too. Yes, please.
No, I was just going to add to that virality is great and all, and obviously it's a great way that people get started all the time, or get their initial name out there. But there's so many more people who have that one viral video and then nothing ever happens after that. And so I would say building the foundation, like what Kyle's talking about, is really important, because if you are viral with your first video that gets posted on TikTok or Instagram, and somebody goes to your profile and follows you and sees that only one video has been uploaded, it's like, okay, well, that's kind of useless. What's the point there? If they're not consistently creating. So building that foundation and having, so that when people do find your content and they see oh, they've been doing this for a while, oh, they post these great videos, then you get so much more engagement on those videos after the fact, because if people fall in love with you and really love what you're creating, they already have a library that they can refer to, and they can keep scrolling and keep engaging and keep falling in love with you more. So viral is a great goal, but it's way more important to build that foundation.
Oh my God, yeah. Imagine if you went viral, but you had nothing for people to come back to and you had no plan for tomorrow, then nobody's gonna really care. I actually just want to even throw this out there. Aaron's talking about something that really can affect a lot of different people. So this is a interesting little thing we can throw out. Though, yes, both platforms don't like each other, TikTok and Instagram, and they will flag if you take and you make something in TikTok and then you post it on Instagram, it gets deprioritized, and the converse is true, because every piece, if you were to make something within the app, it has the metadata that it was made in Instagram or made on TikTok. So the only way we've really found around that is that if you create outside of those things and then upload to both, then they don't really know that the other was involved, and it won't downrank you or get a violation or whatever.
Also, I don't know if it counts as much if you're saving that content before it gets posted, but if you are posting something with some other platform's watermark on it, it's going to get flagged.
The watermark, yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah, save it before you export. I don't know if that's the issue, but it could be.
Totally random sidebar. Sorry, I was I should not read the comments, but also I'm here for you. We're here for you guys.
We've got Q&A.
Yeah. Number 3, how much do content creators make? That's a really good question, because it is all over the map. A lot of people, especially in the last 3 years, for a variety of reasons, I started hearing from content creators that have 2,000 followers and are like, yo, I should be getting paid for my work. And I'm not saying that's not true. As a content creator, one of the interesting things is that you are an all-encompassing like ad creation studio, or like a serious creative studio just in general. So there is a component of your work that you should get paid for that's based on actually creating the work. And then there's another component of what you've created or what you're putting out there in terms of the value, the monetary value that's linked to what size of account you have. And those two things go together generally here at GNB. We look at those two things, the work product, we look at how long somebody's been in the game, and then of course what their follower size is to try to determine what the appropriate rates for that influencer are, especially competitive rates across against other influencers. But content creators, I mean, really you can make anything. I've been seeing, there's content creators out there, nano influencers that are making $25 a post or a reel or something like that. And that doesn't seem meaningful to some, but to other people, I mean, at least that's a smoothie at Erewhon. We like to say here in Los Angeles, we say $25 is a smoothie at Erewhon, but anywhere else it'll be a week's worth of coffee. But then, yeah, of course, other content creators that we manage make hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. And so, it's different for everybody. And it does really go into the three things that I mentioned. It's how long have you been in the game? Because that's really your credibility that you've built with your community and with the industry at large. What is the work product that you're putting out there? We have, some talent that shoot things and they make it real quick on the iPhone. It's not a big deal. It's quick editing, all that kind of stuff. And we have other talent that have basically full studios with assistants and all those things that cost more to keep up. And then, of course, how big the following is, how big and engaged is the community that you're bringing to the table when you're, potentially working with a brand. And then when can I start charging? I kind of alluded to this, but I see plenty of nano influencers out there that are charging. I think it's just, a game of, or it behooves everybody to make sure that you're charging an appropriate amount for the time in the game, the amount of time you're putting into your work. And there's plenty of resources out there. It's kind of like the way that I figured this out back in the day was looking at how do I create my own hourly rate as a freelancer was one of the first things I looked up when I was trying to help my talent figure out how much to charge. Because we started looking at hourly rate, and then we put, okay, let's try to figure out how much is their community worth on top of that. So when can you start charging? Sky's the limit. It's just really, do you have a place? Have you found a place to start to market your particular, what you create, what you talk about, your type of content, and then find somebody, of course, that wants to pay you. Anything you would add to that?
I think you covered it.
Thank you. Okay, cool. And then the last one I always get is, will you manage me? Sometimes I mean this like literally me. Sometimes I mean it just in general. And I wanted to put this last FAQ up there because I think it's one of the things with content creators or people that are hoping to be content creators that reach out to us here at GNB for talent management. When we started College of Influence, like I was saying, it was because we were seeing all of these content creators who have 600 followers or 2,000 followers. And I don't think that's the right level for management, but people still reach out to us every day who have, smaller nano and micro followings looking for management. Most of the time they are looking for management because they want a direct connection with a major agency to a brand for brand deals. And I totally get that, especially if you've got like a passion to, partner with Pepsi or some other, really cool brand and you want that in, it makes sense. You want somebody also to recognize, what's special about you and what's great and help you grow that. The thing about being a content creator is a lot of it is really, most of it, in my opinion, is predicated on you and your community. You as an individual out there, the story that you are telling and your connection with your community is what makes you influential, what makes somebody an influential content creator or an influencer. That has nothing to do with me, right? Like I can, of course, at this point, now that I've been in the game forever, provide pretty good guidance. But it's really, it's about that special community that you've grown based on your unique take on the world or take on the content that you're producing. So what I always tell people is when you get to a sufficient size where you can of course, like you're getting so many brand offers, people are finding you, the community is really engaged and grown, and you're getting brand offers that are coming into your inbox left and right. That's probably the time to actually start to talk to and look for a manager to really help sift through all, the potential work that's coming your way. Otherwise, there are tons of managers out there in management companies that will, what we've seen over the last few years, prey on individuals who are like, I want to become the superstar. And it's not that different than the Hollywood entertainment complex with everybody who wants to be an actor, actresses, right? It's like, oh, we can make you a star. And I mean, that's not why we're in the game. We're not here to, come and try to just take pennies from people, take dollars away from people. We want to grow meaningful business. But my best advice is always to make sure that the business is like squarely in your hands first. And when it gets a little starting to get crazy and there's just too many opportunities, you don't know where to go next, then start to have those conversations with, I would say, well-credited, credible talent management groups out there. Hopefully that helps. Cool.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Now let's switch gears here and talk to our special guest, Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie, again. I know Bonnie already kind of gave a little bit of background on her, but for anyone who might have missed that, Bonnie is a lifestyle home decor content creator based in Austin. We just got to see her. You saw us in that picture earlier. It was the best. Bonnie's been in the content game for a long time. She's worked with brand partners like Michaels, Apartments.com, Mrs. Myers, Taylor Farms, Home Depot, Kind Bars, Postmates, Starbucks, and so many more. Also, Bonnie, like quick cue for you. Who would you say your favorite brand partner that you've worked with so far has been?
It's really hard to narrow it down to just one, but I'll do three of my favorites. So three of my favorites have been Target, Starbucks, and Michaels, because they've just been dream brands that I have like always wanted to work with. And I've done repeat business with them, which is always great in this industry. And all the projects have always been super fun and very me. So, yeah.
I love that. Cool. So could you, tell us a little bit about how you got your start?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said before, I have been in this industry for over a decade. The way I got my start originally was in 2009. I made a blog. This was in the time where fashion blogs were like just beginning, and I just remember being so inspired by them. I was like obsessed with them. I would check them every day. And one day I was like, you know what? I want to do this too. And I just fully like dove in head first. So that's how I originally got my start. And since then, I've just been growing with all the new platforms as they've come out, because at the time, TikTok wasn't around, obviously. Neither was Instagram, Twitter, it was way back in the day. So every time a new platform would come out, I would always grow with it and grow my following there, which has been really fun. But interestingly enough, I've actually grown over half my following on TikTok and Instagram, like over 200K in the last year and a half, which is crazy growth. I think that it's just such a time to grow right now. Like the algorithms are favoring it. So I really think that like anyone can get started, these days. So
No, that's so. What would you say that like secret sauce was? Like what'd you figure out? How'd you crack the code? What would you say like really worked for you?
Like in these last few years?
Yeah, like when you really started seeing that like explosive growth.
So I definitely had, whenever a video came around, I had a bit of like an exploring time where I was seeing what was going to work with video. So like I said before, I started with fashion content, and I kind of like my interests, they started to go in other areas like home decor, DIY, all of that. And I would slowly test out new forms of content over the course of like a few years, since like 2021 is when I've been slowly switching over my niche. But yeah, so I was just sort of experimenting to see what would stick with this new type of content, because it was photo for so long. So that was very beneficial. I kind of saw what was working and what wasn't, and also where my passions were at the time, because you know, since 2009, that's a long time. And, you know, most people don't stick to one job, you know, for that long. So I was kind of ready for a change. And I just followed that and found, you know, that people really like this new style of video that I was doing. And I was just really consistent with video, which I think is really important. So yeah, I think a lot of experimenting and consistency and like not being afraid to post something, and if people will hate it, you know, it's just exploring. So
Totally. Go for it.
Yes.
I have
So
something
no,
to-
I want to jump off of what Bonnie's saying because it's really important. A lot of people that I've spoken to over the last few years, they get discouraged with all of the new tricks and things that like the platforms put out there. Especially when Reels came out, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to do Reels," but actually, right before Reels, it was video, and we had a number of content creators who were like so mad at the push for video on the platform. IGTV, yeah, oh my
Rest in
God,
peace.
RIP IGTV. And they were just, yeah, they were getting really salty about being a creator in the space and being forced by the platforms to adopt, you know, to go from photo, which they were thriving on, to video. And what I think that Bonnie said was so important. It's like just the trying it out and adopting it and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Because you can grow, you know, to a certain point being a great photographer. But if something else comes around that people love, like Reels, the platform is going to favor Reels. That's why they create these new cool ideas and put them out there and see what catches fire. Because the platforms are going to evolve. And as a content creator, you can either evolve with the platform, who is providing this space for this creativity, right? And these tools for creativity. Or you can choose to say, you know what? I am just a photographer person and I will see how far that takes me. The platform may not push you anymore, and that has to be something you have to be okay with because this is your lane. You know, you're like, I'm only going to stay in this lane. But if you're going to find success on a platform like TikTok or find success on a platform like Instagram, you really have to go and use and grow with the tools that they are developing and give to all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. They really do. They're like giving you keys to drive your own success. Like every time something new rolls out, jump on it, use it, like try it out, see if it works for you and your content.
Stickers,
formats.
polls,
literally all those new things. And I also think that what you said, Bonnie, like really ties into what we were talking about closer to the beginning of the session of just like narrowing down that niche in the beginning, because like if you got your start in like fashion, it's like, okay, great. Like you got really, really good at that. And then you're like, all right, now it's time to slowly weave other things in. And because we all have all these other extra interests, but I think like the platforms don't really know what to do with accounts that are just kind of all over the place. But if you kind of pick a lane in the beginning, it'll help you like get some growth in the beginning to like eventually be able to expand into the other things that you're interested in. Word. Cool. And then what else what do you wish that you knew back when you were first getting started?
I definitely would say that, like you guys were saying, that each platform is going to change. So in order to grow, you do have to evolve with it. And I was part of, you know, I guess like the old school creators. So whenever video really did become popular, I feel like it was like, you know, the year 2000. I remember TikTok, not 2000, 2020, sorry. Everyone was making their TikToks. I actually didn't make my TikTok until 2021, but now it's at 300K followers because once I decided to do it, I was like, I am here. I'm gonna make this happen. But I was in denial for a while too. So yeah, it's just important to know that what works today isn't necessarily gonna work tomorrow. And I think that's true for everyone across the board. And then secondly, to not be afraid to just post. I call it posting into the void because so I grew 2 accounts on TikTok since 2021. And in the beginning, I mean, it would be, you know, months sometimes of posting into the void. Like, you know, no one was really there, but I was just determined. And I knew that if I continued and if I was making quality content, that it would get discovered by people at some point. So it took a while, you know, for both of those accounts. But so that, and then also like I was saying earlier, don't be afraid to change your niche if whatever it is isn't working. Because I think I did kind of try to hold on to fashion for a while, but I just, my heart wasn't in it. And, you know, I was able to change it, but for the better.
Well, one thing I'll throw in there, because it was just my wife was leading a panel today, like same time, and an in real life panel, and her and I were talking about the questions. So we were actually talking about this thing, something you just mentioned last night. Like, you are a person. You're not just an celebrity who's acting like a role in a movie, right? You're a real person, Bonnie, and you go through life changes. And that's one of the biggest things about changing your niche is, even in my own home with my wife, like, she was a fashion creator and a bit of a food creator. And then at a certain point, like especially when we got pregnant and she started to like kind of taper out of fashion a little bit, or fashion took a back seat, like she really leaned into beauty because of the time of life. And then of course, after our son was born, then it was a little bit of mom and family, but then she's like going back, it's like your niches will move, your community will move, because people are moving actually in and out of your life and your story. And you have to also become very comfortable with that fact that like who you are today is not going to be who you are in 1 year. And you have you shouldn't expect your followers to always kind of be stagnant in the same too.
Absolutely.
Right. I know, it's so true. It's like, we go through life changes. Like, you could get married, have kids, like your content will change. So it is interesting because in other careers, if you get married and have kids, it might not change it, but for us, it like does.
Yeah,
That's
legit.
a good point. Cool. Thank you so much, Bonnie. I think we're going to keep you on here but this is like the questions portion. So I don't know if we want to keep the deck on screen, we can. If we want to take it off and just be faces, we totally could.
Oh, I like big faces. Boom.
Big faces, hey. As well, is it possible for us to?
Oh, look at
go. There it is. Cool. I think this is a great time point too, because we're at past 40. So yeah, let's do some Q&A.
How do we do this?
Yeah, I'm gonna moderate from my tiny box in the corner here. And please keep the questions coming. If you guys have questions specifically for Bonnie, make sure you put them in the question box so that we can pop them up on the screen. I see you guys putting them in the chat. Thank you. I'll try to get to them there. But if you put them in this Q&A tab, we will be able to do this cool trick where I pop them right up on the screen so we can all see them. Aaron wants to know, are hashtags dead or not? Many conflicting beliefs.
My hot take is that they're not dead. It's just that you have to use them in moderation, and people don't know how to do that. Like, it just seems beyond anybody to be like, okay, I'm not going to use 20,000 hashtags. I'm only going to choose 2 that are really relevant.
Yeah, and I think it's different on both on the different platforms as well. Like TikTok should be no more than 3, and Instagram I don't think should be any more than like 5, 6, 7. I feel like that's even pushing it. What would you say, Mona?
Same here. I use 3 on Instagram. Sometimes I use more on TikTok, and I also use keywords now at the very bottom of my caption. So like if it's a post about I was baking cookies, in the keywords I would write like chocolate chip cookie recipe, or whatever people would search to find that type of video.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely helps, especially because I feel like people are treating these. It's not something I'm feeling. It's just what's happening. It's that like people are using TikTok like Google now, and Instagram really needs to up their game when it comes to search, because I know that if I type in like the punchline of a joke on TikTok in search, it's going to find that video. And if I try to do the same thing on Reels, it's just going to show me a bunch of stuff that I did not ask for. But yeah, I think that makes sense.
Follow-up question: using hashtags and stories, blend them in the background or visible? I'm going to give my answer, and this may be totally, you guys might flame me for this. Hashtags and stories, yes. Visible, yes.
Really?
Yes. And so my rationale is, like, when I go to different events with talent, like, and especially for me, I'm, as a CEO, I'm like looking for other talent and looking for what people are doing in the space. So I want to see, like, I went to a Dior event for Miss Dior, the perfume. And then I went and followed, or I looked at, other people who were posting Miss Dior stuff. It's easier when the hashtag, even if it's small, is like presented, and then I know they, there or whatever, and it's easier to kind of follow along versus hiding them. That's my opinion. Yeah, there are probably ones that don't really matter that much, like an event hashtag or a premium brand hashtag that you could hide, but I like it when they're visible.
Yeah, how about you, Bonnie?
I think visible. I'm not exactly sure.
Me neither.
No real hot take. Whatever.
This next one is a pricing question. For rates, do you use a formula, 0.01 cents per follower?
Formula doesn't make sense. So, I tried to touch on this a little bit earlier. Not your formula doesn't make sense, just formulas in general don't make sense. You need to be thinking about pricing your work as work. So, again, when I first started managing people, I looked at how do we price the hourly rate, and then how do we figure out how much time they're putting into creating the content, because that's an element of the price. The other element of the price is the following that you're bringing, but it's the following, and it's how engaged is that following. And if you start to work with brands, Bonnie definitely knows this, like different brands and different agencies put different premiums on how engaged your audience is or isn't. So you can do something like what was being suggested here, but it's not really fair to yourself to just have it be on your followers, because you are more than your followers. So that's it. See?
What is the
Oh.
best way to monetize other than brand deals? Great question.
Yeah, I can take.
Sure.
So yeah, there's 1,000 different ways to monetize without brand deals, and a lot of these ways are really important as you're growing as a creator. One would be affiliate commission, signing up for a platform like LTK, Pepper Jam, Commission Junction, ShopStyle, getting in on those platforms that have where you can, of course, post links and then get some sort of commission. One of the easiest ways to make money and make money over time, especially with LTK, they'll always tell you if your LTK links are floating out there on your blog, you can make money kind of in an almost residual way. But there's a lot of other ways to do it too. It would be like having an Amazon storefront that's kind of like affiliate commission. Eventually, when you get to a certain size creator, you could create a storefront of your own. There are a lot of platforms that offer to do product development, where you could have your own line of things, slapping your logo on stuff. Podcasts, there's a lot of ways to kind of branch out. We're doing book deals. We have a cat treat item coming out, I think in June, which is strange. We have a cat with 10 million followers on TikTok. So, yeah. But that's did I miss anything?
I think you covered the majority of it, and I kind of consider like event attendance is kind of a brand deal, but
what is
like when you get paid to attend an event.
Oh yeah,
but
there's that. But then the big one that I missed was actually monetization off of YouTube. So I mean, it's just really the only platform. I guess maybe Twitch does this in its own way. I don't know Twitch though. But yeah, if you have a channel and you can get ad revenue, AdSense from YouTube, it's a bit more passive than brand deals, and a bit. It's just different than affiliate.
I also would say TikTok Shop is a good one.
TikTok Shop, booming.
Yeah, that's done really well for me this last year, because I think sometimes TikTok will boost their shop videos because that helps with it. And then also I've noticed with products that I click on that I see another video post, TikTok they retarget you with that same product with other videos until you buy it. It's worked on me many times.
Yeah. Same. Well, it's only worked on me once, but they're trying with other stuff now. Yeah.
Totally.
What are the different ways we can monetize?
Yeah. That was just kind of a follow-up. I think you guys were already answering that. I love this question. What's the best way to build interaction after a hiatus from posting?
Wow.
I mean, I've got Bonnie. I know you've had like at least like one hiatus.
Yeah, I actually did. I know.
It?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about that, because I haven't had a hiatus in a long time since, but I did have like a year-long hiatus in 2017. So, it's a different time, but I had already had my platform grown for a long time at that point. So whenever I came back, everyone was like excited to see me back. But that's rough, because I feel like in this day and age, like if I'm being totally honest, I wouldn't really want to go on a hiatus, although I have done a week-long hiatus from posting on my feed, and I think that's okay. But I think probably just jumping back in and being really consistent after the hiatus. So people are like, okay, that was just a hiatus. They're back now. I can expect content from them regularly. Because life happens, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Say that you want to put some research time in before you get back to it to see like what new tools are out. Because if you've taken the hiatus on the, people take a hiatus where they're not posting, but they're still scrolling and observing, so they might have a better idea of what's going on. But if you're doing like full, like I'm not online for a set amount of time, you probably are missing like big life updates, the platform updates. And just like the way that the algorithm changes or the way the tools roll out, like just figure out what those are, and using, if there is a new tool that's in the process of being rolled out, that's a great way to generate some hype right when you first jump back in, because it's like, okay, well, that if TikTok is pushing TikTok Shop or videos that are a minute long or horizontal content, like you can use those tools to kind of get yourself back out there super quickly. But like that's just in addition to everything else that Bonnie said, because the being consistent as if nothing ever happened, it's going to help.
True.
Yeah, this feels kind of not exactly connected to that, but a good segue. Building a cross-platform following. If you're big in one area, maybe Bonnie, for example, when you started on TikTok, you already had such a big following on other platforms. How do you encourage people to, follow you over there too?
I definitely do have advice on this, because even if you have a big platform on one of the two, it doesn't always guarantee that people will follow you from the other one that they found you on, like following me on TikTok if they found me on Instagram. So it almost feels like you do have to kind of start from scratch in a way. If you can always post it on your Instagram stories, like, go follow me on TikTok. I've been posting this on TikTok. You could be like, you could have some exclusive content on either app and try to incentivize people to go to it. But whenever I did grow my 2 TikToks, I kind of did it knowing it was going to be a fresh slate, because I knew I'd be able to get, some people to cross over, but I knew that would be kind of tricky. So I kind of grew them both on its own platform. And that was what was successful for me. And I've noticed that, because some people could have millions of followers on TikTok and they don't have a big Instagram following. So I think you just kind of have to focus on each platform in a way. And see what works best on each one. And then once you're established, I think, and once you're established in your niche, then you could start like syndicating posts. Because now I post pretty much similar content, some different on TikTok, but.
And I feel like right now, because everybody's worried that TikTok's going away, I've seen so many more creators talking about like, look, guys, if this, if this all happens, you're gonna have to just follow me on Instagram. I'm so sorry, but like, if that's what it is, we have to just do it. So, pushing. I think talking about the potential TikTok ban in itself will help generate some traction on your account, just because I feel like they are going to prioritize videos of people sticking up for them so that they can help kind of control that narrative. And, if you're talking about the potential ban and you are kind of like, well, if this doesn't happen, you're going to have to follow me over there. Follow the link in the bio or on my profile. I'll see you over there. Could be a good way.
Yeah, we are closing in on the hour here, and we have so many good questions that I would love to get to. So I'm going to kind of group a couple here for creators who are just starting out. What's your best advice? This question is, if you're absolutely new to posting on social media, what would you recommend to begin posting high quality content?
Don't worry about it being high quality. The more raw, real stuff is performing so well, especially on TikTok. Don't worry about being super polished right off the bat. You can get to that later. And that kind of goes to what I was talking about before, is like, just hit record, do your thing. You can always evolve and get better at your craft.
Yep.
Yeah. And then also for newer creators, how long does it take? No average time.
Literally, it's not over. It doesn't happen overnight until it happens overnight.
And it's not about like time, it's about like, are you creating something that's engaging with people? Because when you get engagement from people, you're building for that community, then other people find you. So yeah, time is irrelevant.
Yeah. How do you find, if you're new, how are you finding your niche? How are you, if you like multiple areas and standing out so brands can see you?
Oh, beacons.
We appreciate the love. You got to get a media kit for sure. Beacons media kit.
Yep.
Okay, and then at the total opposite end of the spectrum, this is a super long question, so it's going to get cut off the screen.
I wrote the whole thing. I was like, hey, dude, if we don't have time to answer this, email me.
The question for those of you who can't see it is, if you are a very large creator, this person has over 2 million followers, maybe. Brands don't want to pay that. It's hard to get a high dollar amount. They're offering, $600 to $1,000. So what's your 2 sentence advice for this?
Yeah, so I read this. I thought it was so interesting. There's a couple things I'll say real quick. Like, if you get you have to price yourself, for what you're worth and know what you're worth, right out the gate. There's a lot of low quality brands or agencies out there, especially on YouTube, that are only looking to do a deal of $600,000. But most mid-tier influencers that are around 100,000 followers up to 500,000. A lot of them charge $5,000 for a reel, $5,000, $7,000, whatever. So if our middle tier influencers are getting $5,000 or more per post, then you should absolutely probably be charging more. If your engagement's really high, your community is really dialed in, you can make the argument for those things. So a lot of it is probably just a negotiation. I will say this one thing that I thought was interesting about macro influencers is that the macro influencer game broke in 2020. So before 2020, macro influencers getting hell of money all over the place. They were getting, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for whatever on every platform. When 2020 happened, pandemic, and then everybody kind of froze and budgets shrank immediately, macro influencers saw the biggest impact, where they couldn't start to charge. Nobody had money to pay them $30,000 for a post anymore, unless they were somebody crazy famous, because you could see the ROI on it that was going to make sure that people made money and got to eat, put food on the table, right? So the game broke at that point, has not really been fixed on the macro side, I would say. So that's definitely, I would keep your expectations moderate, not low, but moderate. But price yourself accordingly. You got to negotiate hard and just stick to, this is how much I charge. And this is why a lot of people miss out on, this is why I charge this much. Hopefully that.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. This person wanted to know about inbound versus outbound. Bonnie, do people reach out to you at this point? Are you still doing outbound?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, both for sure. For those brands specifically that I mentioned, they had reached out to me, or I had gotten them through the agency. I would say, yeah, it's a mix of people coming to my inbox, me getting jobs from the agency. And then sometimes, my manager, she's like, who would you love to work with this month? And I tell her, and then she'll pitch them. So it's a mix. And then also, if you have business, reaching back out to that business, just if you want to work with them again, to repitch yourself later on, is helpful.
Bonnie's very in demand, so she'd be getting lots of inquiries, and she's super easy to pitch and very easy to work with. So yeah. I would say, normally across the industry, or at least across our firm, 70%, we manage talent who are in high demand. So 70% of what comes in is generally coming from the talent and the demand for them. And then our team builds another 30% of business, on average across for those talent. So, it's if you have a good team, both engines are working to create a holistic, revenue stream.
Yeah. What amount is considered posting consistently on TikTok? Once a day, twice a day, 3 times a week?
I think it's different for everyone. I think it's all about finding that balance between overwhelming yourself and not overwhelming yourself. Being consistent enough so that it's not putting pressure on you, so that it's not fun anymore. I know that obviously TikTok, when you're first getting started, they want you posting every single day, and that's when that the stuff that's not super produced is gonna come in handy, because obviously putting the pressure on yourself to overly produce some really polished content for 5 videos during the week or 7 videos during the week, that's so unrealistic if you don't have a full team working on your content with you. I think it really there is no magic number. Like maybe on TikTok doing those like super consistent ones, using all the tools, making videos from comments, making videos as replies, like things like that. Just like getting more content out there. But Instagram, I feel like if you post too much, you really don't see a great response. Bonnie, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And it's definitely part of it is like, what do you have the capacity for? Because if I had to post 3 times a day, I think I would give up, because that was just too much for me. So I always did one a day when I was trying to like grow something. And then now I do like a little bit less. So
Okay, we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to power through 3 questions really quickly that are related. So I get so many emails a day to collaborate, but most are gifted. Should I get a manager? And then Lachey also said, how do I find a manager? And then Noah, I think it was, said, if I want to work with you, how do I get in touch?
Love that. gb-dm.com. You can look up College of Influencer or GNB and find our talent management firm. And even if we're not the right fit, we don't try to be the right fit for everybody. So we always try to point people in the right direction, in terms of finding a good manager. I mean, other than that, you can just Google influencer talent management and, a number of agencies will pop up. It's just important that, again, like I said earlier, make sure you have a good grasp of your own business, and what's going on and who's coming in and who do you want to work with and that kind of stuff. And then do your research about each firm, ask other creators about the firms. That's always
check
good.
out the Beacon's top agencies list. We have a great.
That makes it super simple, because if you check out that list, we're there. But also then, lots of different types of agencies exist for different types of creators. And so that's important.
Yeah. I just dropped that link in the chat.
If there's lots of gifting offers, does that mean that there's going to be money? No. Again, like when you respond to those gifting offers, can you turn them into campaigns? Does it seem like people want to give you money to create something? Like that's, kind of a telltale sign when there's money offers coming across. The gifting offers, it really depends on where they're coming from. I can't answer that specifically about the person that asked, but it's like there are lots of companies that just throw product to the wind, in a way, which I hate. But if you're getting really good gifting offers that come because somebody specifically wants to work, Chanel wants to give you a bag because you are incredibly like luxurious, tastemaker, and they really want to talk to you, that's a gifting offer, not Chanel in general, but like any brand. If they're coming for you because of who you are, and it's not like some, templated email where your name was dropped in, there's a big difference between those two gifting offers.
I would say it's probably super different between, like, depending on which brand it is too. So if you get an inquiry from a brand for a gifting campaign, you can, before you even respond to them, look up that brand, see what hashtags they're using for their other influencer campaigns, see if something's like clearly a paid campaign where there's like a hashtag ad, and see how many paid campaigns they might already be activating, see what they've been tagged in, their hashtags, if they have like brand name partner as a hashtag, see what they're working with. Because if you find out that they're doing paid campaigns and they're just offering you nothing, you can say, well, hey, look, I see that you're working with all these creators right now. If there's money in the budget, I would love to, work with you on a paid campaign rather than just gifting. And set yourself up to have like longer term partnerships too, rather than like these one-time posting things. Those are so they have such little impact. One little post doesn't really help anybody. So build a longer program in mind for them and say like, look, I'm willing to do all this other for you if you flip this into a paid campaign.
Yeah. Great answers. Incredible session today. I think this was the most people we've had for the longest, like sustained period of time on a webinar. Like just the number of folks who were here, who were engaged, who were listening. You guys did an absolutely incredible job for them. Thank you, Kyle, Joey, and Bonnie, so much for your time, for being here, for supporting Beacons. And thank you so much to all of you in the chat who've been here, who've been asking questions. who have been supporting Beacons as well. Please join us on Discord. We will continue this conversation in the Beacons community there. We want to keep chatting with you and keep helping you. And who knows, if they're willing, perhaps by popular demand, you will see more of Kyle and Joey and Bonnie. So with that said, we are a bit over time, but thank you all so much for sticking around. And we can't wait to connect with you guys again in the future. So have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.